tell me about your sprint car season. I feel like I think I was looking at your numbers. This was like the most races you'd run in 4 or 5 years. Was that like on purpose, or did that just happen? And then along the way, how did you feel about how it went?
Man, quite honestly, I think I just ran more 410 races than anything, but overall numbers were a little bit down from the last 3 years just due to I had a concussion, and with my work life, it's kind of gotten a little bit past what it has been in the years before. Um, Probably my worst year in 6 or 7 seasons. We only won 3 or 4 races. We really lacked speed, I would say, through the middle of the season, and then I got hurt, and then I struggled to get back. My timing was off. Mentally, I don't think I was there 100%. We struggled on the race car, and then with a guy like Jimmy Carr, you don't keep him down very long. We worked really hard there at the end of the season, and then like at the very end of the outlaw swing, I felt like we started clicking onto some stuff that was really good for us. And we went on a string there in October. I think we ran second like 2 or 3 times, ran third 2 or 3 times. We ended up one spot short of winning the Trophy Cup points behind Corey Day, which that was a bummer. I still have nightmares about that. And then we ran second to Macedo there at the end of November. So I definitely feel like we got our mojo back. I feel like I got my mojo back. But it was just a weird season. It was an odd year, something I never expected. And sometimes you have those years. Considering like 2023, we were on the podium with the Outlaws, I think twice. We were in the top five like 5 or 6 times. Had good runs at the Dirt Cup, the Gold Cup, Trophy Cup, and then this year we were really stagnant. So we've done a lot of rebuilding as a team to get ourselves better for the 2025 season. And quite honestly, like I'm chomping at the bit. I've been in the gym more than I've ever been in my life. I've been working out every night after work. Whether I'm in the gym or just at home at my home gym. So I'm taking it very serious. I want to get the 41 back on top, and I feel like now that mentally I'm back in the right place, and my timing isn't as off as what it was when I came back from my injury. I think I've got everything running in the right direction personally to be making the right decisions behind the car, and I think race car wise, I think we're doing the right thing too. So. What's weird though is, for me, it's the first time in my life I've ever had a hard time focusing in and disconnecting from work. And obviously, getting a little bit older, that's part of the program. And then after the concussion, I had a hard time with my timing and stuff. So, personally, had a lot of issues with that. But I think I'm on the right track now, and I'm really excited to see what we can do next season.
What is that like when you're coming back from injury like that? I mean, like obviously you have doctors telling you when you can and can't race or whatever, but like as you try to work your way back in, is there like a point where you're like, okay, I don't feel like myself, but I know I need to keep going? And then, when do you start to kind of feel like yourself? And when you say that your timing was off, like what does that look like out on the racetrack?
Yeah. So for me, what timing, like where my timing was off was, entry of corner. I was lifting a lot off the gas, and I was feeling things in the race car that was making me second guess what I was doing. And then, usually, let's say you catch a guy and you're going to slide him and you're going to get to the cushion and you're going to slide yourself the next corner and put him away, and then you're going to get back up to the cushion. And for me, I'd make the decision late. I wouldn't clear the guy, and I'd get myself balled up on the cushion. Then a car would go by me, and then I would slide myself, and I'd lose another spot. And I think of it as flow. Like when you look at the outlaw guys, they get into a flow, and when they're racing cars, they don't lose speed and they don't lose space between them. And usually, if you're any good, that's what you do as well, whether you're a regional guy or a national guy. I just couldn't do that at all. I was terrible at it. And, I feel like once I started realizing like, hey, like I've got some stuff going on here where my timing's not right. I was noticing it just throughout the day. I was able to put a lot of work into why and my focus and, getting my head right. And I'm still looking at doing more of that. Somebody that I've been talking to regularly is Glenn Borden and Devin Borden. And, Devin obviously had a big injury, and those guys have really helped me a lot with just what they did to help with Devin, and I've realized there's a lot of things that I'm off on and struggling still from a concussion, even though I'm not at risk of hurting myself. I definitely think there's room for improvement for me, and honestly, it's a weird thing to not be 100% behind the wheel, and then to not be 100% focused when you get to the racetrack is a thing that I never felt like it would be a problem for me, and it has, shown to be a problem for me. So I'm looking forward to next year. I've got some, plans on being able to separate racing and work. And, my only goal and my only intention next year is to win every race I can. So I feel ready physically and mentally, and I'm very much ready to get to work.
For like sprint car drivers like you, and obviously, me coming out of changing tires in NASCAR, like obviously I understand at least a little bit of what you guys are going through in terms of trying to be better and all of those types of things. But like when I got off, I could go to another tire changer and have him take a look at my film. I could talk to my coaches. But you as a sprint car driver, when you know you're off somewhere, like is that a conversation you can go have with Jimmy Carr, or is that something you got to go talk to your brother? Like how do you find help when you know that you're not riding the sprint car?
That's been the hardest thing for me. I've never been a ultra successful guy on the national scale, but I feel like over the last few years, I've really closed in on being a consistent top 10, top five guy. And when this year I had been off so bad, I reached out to Dan Lasowski, and and he's a very good family friend of mine. He actually came out for a few weeks this season and really helped me with that. And he was able to pick stuff out. And he would just ask me questions like, "Hey, when you're racing a guy, why do you do this?" Or when you got 10 or 12 laps in, you started doing this instead of that. Why did you do that? What are you feeling? And then what we started doing was, I'm racing like this. I'm doing these things because I feel something. And then because I have a lack of comfort or a lack of, trust in myself. Okay, well, let's address it. Let's start working on it. Can we change some things around with the shock package or with how we're actually running the race car and setting the race car up? Okay, well, these little changes are making me feel a little more comfortable, and mentally being aware of the mistakes I'm making, I can address them. And while I'm racing and watching tape back, which my wife and my mom both have videotaped a bunch for me, that way I can, rewatch film. You start to figure out, just like a football player or a tire change or anything like that, where you're making these mistakes. And then when you get into those situations, like for me, one thing I've been famous for this year is pulling a slide job a lap too early or a half a lap too early, where I'm not quite close enough and I let the guy go back around me. And there at the end of the season, I really cleaned that up a lot. And it was something that I was mentally aware of and something that I was focusing on. Okay, hey, I think I'm close enough. I need to wait one more corner. And then just getting myself used to being in that point of dirty air where, all right, now that's when I'm going to make the move. So stuff like that has been very helpful for me. And next year I'm looking at, trying to get Danny out with me at least once a month or so, just to, really coach me. I leaned on my brother a lot with, things I was feeling. And guys like Ricky Warner and Wayne Pretty and some other guys in the sport that are really good on the wrenches. I would kind of present them, hey, this is what I'm feeling. What have you guys ever had this before? And both of them were very helpful in times where it was like, hey, you know what, like that's something that a driver is feeling. That's you're feeling that because you're doing this, or hey, maybe you need to look at this, or I've noticed this with my program. And it was just, I felt like it was a lot of homework for me this year to get myself right. And one thing I'm thankful of is the results showed there at the end of the year that we definitely had our speed back.